Hello everyone, it's Tyraptor101 here. Today I'm doing a video on who would win between Rexy or Big Eatie. Now, this version of Rexy I'm doing is Rexy between Jurassic World and in Jurassic World Dominion, and I'm doing Big Eatie between the events of Camp Cretaceous Season 4 to Season 5. And the first thing I'm going to do is look at the two's feats and what they've done, durability, things like that. Now, the first thing is that something I do want to mention is that Rexy is old, and this is one thing that is kind of. I was going to do Rexy in Jurassic Park, but she just doesn't do much in that movie for me to really give a definitive answer if she could win. I do think she could, but we just haven't seen that much from her. She did like one-shot a raptor and tear through a fence and chase after a jeep, but other than that, like compared to like fighting big dinosaurs like Rexy's done in the Jurassic World movies, then yeah, comparing those two. Now, today I'm going to be putting these two up against each other. So, what about strength? Strength and bite force are two things. I think around bite force, I would give them the same because, well, they're both T-Rexes, so that would be unfair to say one has a stronger bite force outright. I would give them equal on that, though we have seen Big Eatie make the Spinosaurus bleed. When she first bites the Spinosaurus, when they're both mind-controlled, we see Big Eatie bite into the Spino's neck, making the Spino lose like 4% of her health. Or 4% of his health. I think Spino's a he, I'm assuming. We see the Spino roar in pain as we see a little bit of blood. And also, when Big Eatie bites Pierce, we also see blood, a little bit of blood on her lower jaw. And we also see some bite marks in Pierce where she bites into him. And both of those dinosaurs, she definitely had the edge on when it comes out to upright strength. Well, Spino, I think she's equal with, like I did in my last video. I think she's equal in strength with the Spino. Something else that I do want to go into is how Rexy was able to, when she went up against a Carnotaurus twice, she was able to, first she got the ambush on a Carnotaurus and she bites into his neck. Then she steps on him and lets out a roar, which is interesting because you can see the whole time the Carnotaurus is kicking, it's alive. And then once Rexy kind of takes her foot off and walks off, I don't exactly see if the Carnotaurus gets up from this. I'm assuming it died or just, was too hurt by this and eventually slowly died afterwards. Also, we see Rexy go against the second Carnotaurus, and she kind of hits him with her head, practically slapping him. That's pretty much what she did. And doing this caused Carnotaurus to fall over, and it runs away before Rexy can deliver another bite. Also, if we go into Jurassic World, we see her able to bite the Indominus and make it bleed. And, of course, you do have to look at the I-Rex has been, out the whole day. It doesn't seem to be that exhausted, but it definitely isn't 100%. Like, when it first leaves this enclosure, it's not at 100% strength, and it's definitely tired, but it's confident, and I think that's, Rex's experience in fighting allows her to kind of get the edge over the I-Rex in the beginning. But definitely Rexy does the older age, and the fact that the I-Rex learns quickly after it realizes that the T-Rex's jaws are its main weapon, it immediately uses its larger arms to push her head down. And after this happens, the I-Rex learns how Rexy fights. It pretty much just destroys Rexy. There's no competition after that point. Though we do see Rexy grabbing and throwing the I-Rex into buildings, but most of the damage wasn't even from her bites, it was just from the buildings themselves. I do think the I-Rex does seem to be just as heavy as Rexy, if a little, just kind of like maybe a little heavier, because how it's built not really big, it's more skinnier. Now, Rexy is pretty skinny here, but we do see her in Jurassic World Dominion get a little bit more beef on her, like being out in the wild and running free. That kind of helps her muscles build up and let her get stronger. Also, one thing to mention is that Rexy's lived over 30 years, so she definitely has a bunch of experience. I wouldn't say she's outright more experienced than Big Edie. The reason I would say this is because Big Edie lived on Isla Sorna. And if you know anything about Isla Sorna, we have the buck and doe, we have Ceratosaurus, some other dinosaurs that we also have on Nublar. Also, we have two types of raptors, the tiger stripe ones, and the ones we actually saw in Jurassic Park 3, the ones with the little quills or feathers on their head. Great design, by the way. I do love how those raptors looked. Also, we see the, Ceratosaurus. I think they're in, novel, it said they were, like, camouflaging carnos that were, like, on the island, which we didn't see, sadly. Also we have the Spino. And it does seem like Big Edie and Little Edie have been fighting, which also, the whole reason they're even on Manticore Island was brought there to fight and to, just fight for people's entertainment. And if we go into Big Edie's first fight, we see her fight Little Edie now. To mention, they both were kind of jacked up on pretty much steroids and drugs, so where their pain tolerance is extremely low. And, they probably are a bit stronger. And, as they're eating, we do see Big Edie feeding Little Edie a little bit more than, she is, I believe. Maybe not. I still have to go back and watch that scene again. But, then Big Edie seems to, first turn on Little Edie. And we see the fight happen. And definitely it's a pretty equal battle. No one of them seemed to have the edge. But one thing I do want to talk about is when Little Edie grabs Big Edie, she throws Big Edie off into like a little gorge where they were eating at first. That's like a 5 to 6 foot drop. And if you look in the prologue, the T-Rex died after like a 10-foot drop. And Big Edie survives this with little to no injury. Little Edie was the one in the battle that came out with more injuries. And if you look at the fight, Big Edie got hit more than Little Edie, but Little Edie ended up worse. Now, Little Edie couldn't feel the pain, of course, or not much of it. And luckily for both of them, neither one of them got severely hurt, even though Little Edie, definitely was hurt after this battle and had to rest up for like a few hours before she was able to walk around with her mom once again. Then we see Big Edie go up against Pierce, and we see her kind of tossing Pierce around, like one headbutt to Pierce's side is able to, push him. Big Edie was able to grab Pierce and throw him. She definitely is pretty strong, and I think strength, because Rexy was able to grab I think the Giga's around 9 to 10 tons, but she's able to grab him at her old age. To mention, she did have to, run up. She had a lot of momentum, so when she grabbed him, threw him, that was a lot of her momentum kind of slamming into him and pushing the Giga into the Therizinosaurus's claws. We also didn't really see Rexy's bite do anything to the Giga, because when she bites him in the nose, it hurts the Giga, but we don't really see any damage. And then when we see Rexy grab him and throw him into the Therizinosaurus's claws, we still don't see any damage on the Giga. Only reason Giga even died was because it got, skewered on the claws. Now, we also do see Big Edie doing the same with the Spino. But I think the reason I will give the slight edge to Big Edie is because when she runs at the Spinosaurus, she runs straight at the Spinosaurus, and if you're going to say, well, her momentum caused the Spinosaurus to fall, well, not necessarily, because when she was running, she slams into the Spino. She had ducks under him and slams into him, and the Spino can't bite her in this moment. And then she kind of stops, she makes a perfect stop, and then shoves the Spino again. this time knocking the Spinosaurus over, causing it to flip over, like 360 degrees, do a whole spin, slide along the ground, and this one attack causes the Spinosaurus to run away. The only reason Spinosaurus ran away in the first movie was because it got scared. It was scared of fire. Which, yeah. Probably because most dinosaurs instinctually would be scared of fire, so, yeah. And then we see, we don't see much of her, but we also do see her when she kicks the Spinosaurus in the river battle, or at least when they were in the jungle. She kicks the Spinosaurus, and one kick was able to send the Spinosaurus flying back. Remember, this Spinosaurus is larger than the one in Jurassic Park 3, and I think, yeah, almost the size of the Indominus Rex. Only the fully grown Indominus Rex, I believe, was larger than Spinosaurus at Count Cretaceous. So, Spinosaurus gets kicked in the jaw, it falls back over, and this fight pretty much, that one kick kind of gave Big Eatie only a few seconds after. It didn't seem to do much damage, but of course it was just a kick. Now, looking at how Rexy didn't really see her kicking anything, but of course we really haven't seen her to where she's like outright on the ground and she has like kick, really, So, I think overall strength, I give this to Big Eatie. She was able to kick the Spinosaurus, knock it over. She's able to shove the Spinosaurus over with brute strength alone. She's able to knock the Spinosaurus over. She was able to easily overpower the Spinosaurus multiple times in their battles. And Biggie and Rexy did struggle against the I-Rex, though she was able to grab the I-Rex and throw it around. Though I do believe the Spinosaurus in Count Cretaceous was slightly larger, or just as large as the Indominus Rex, if not maybe slightly shorter. Which Indominus Rex in Jurassic World also, it was said that it wasn't fully grown, it was a subadult. So yeah, that's one thing we do have to look at. And plus, the claw marks of the Spino, when the Spino is at the river, it tries to use its claws to kind of grab into Big Eatie's lower jaw, and we don't see its claws do any damage while they're pressed perfectly against Big Eatie's jaw. It does nothing. It doesn't break her hide, nothing. We don't even see the Spinosaurus ever. Well, it made her bleed once, but that was after it was holding its jaws around her neck for almost a whole minute. And the fact it takes this long for the Spino to even make Big Eatie bleed. And also, after this, we don't even see Big Eatie have any wounds on her whatsoever. Though, also, the Giga wasn't able to make Rexy bleed when it grabs her by her neck. So, yeah. But I think Bite Force is equal between the two. Strength, I believe, would go to Big Eatie slightly, because Big Eatie's younger. And I don't think Big Eatie's in her prime yet, but I don't think she's not really young, but she's not really old either. She's still in the middle of her life, I would say, right? She's maybe slightly, from slightly younger than Rexy in Jurassic Park, right? Because she's a natural born T-Rex, so she probably hasn't grown as quickly as, some dinosaurs would. And also another thing we have to look at is the fact that, as I said earlier, Big Eatie was there to fight. So, Bite Rex, oh my god. Bite goes to both of them, Bite's equal. Let me see. Strength, Big Eatie. Durability, I think durability I will give to Big Eatie. The only reason I will give this to Big Eatie is because she took multiple Kentrosaurus tail attacks that didn't even make her bleed whatsoever. It just seemed to enrage. The only time it really even seemed to hurt her was when it hit her and one of its spikes had hit her already in an open wound that seemed to be really recent, and we don't even know what dinosaur this came from, if it came from the Spino or not. But this attack um didn't seem to make Big really feel too much pain. It hit her in an open wound, and right after this, she didn't seem to really feel it much later. It definitely was something that she definitely did felt, but it was more of an annoying kind of like splinter feeling to her, seemingly. Um, I think she'll get durability. I think no. I think what I'll do is resistance. Resistance goes to Big Edie. But durability, I think would go to. I think durability is a tie because heavy impacts do seem to knock Rexy out pretty easily, and Rexy did seem to get a lot more damaged when fighting the Indominus Rex. So what's next? I think speed and agility. This is something I think is pretty obvious. Speed and agility would go to Big Edie. She was a lot faster than Rexy. You can easily see that. We see her actually running around. We see her able to actually outspeak Pierce. Move faster than Pierce, so Pierce couldn't hit her. She was able to, move faster than Pierce could react, and grab him by his back and able to make him bleed and pass out from one bite. Then we see her fights with the Spino, as she definitely is a lot faster than the Spino and is easily able to outrun him and move away from his attacks. Rexy, we don't really see too much of her agility. She isn't too fast now. In Jurassic Park, Rexy's a bit faster, but definitely Rexy now is just not as fast as she used to be. We only see her walking like maybe up to 10 or 15 miles per hour. The fastest I think we see her run in the Jurassic franchise was when we see her, or not in Jurassic franchise, but in Jurassic World franchise, we see her running at the Giga. I think that's the fastest we see her outright run, and that's only like less than 10 feet distance. So yeah, she doesn't run too fast. Speed and agility, Big Edie, obviously. Next, let's go to intelligence. Intelligence, I think, is something that they both have a lot of, and I think intelligence, I think I would give them equal, because Big Edie is able to extinguish humans from their look, although it probably is more from their smell as well. She's able to tell humans when they're a threat, when they're not. She's able to extinguish, tell the difference of two humans. I mean, that's really it, outright intelligence. For Rexy, we don't really see her really problem solving too much, though she was smart enough to, when she saw the Giga leaving an opening, she grabbed the Giga, and knowing that Therizinosaurus's claws were open, she threw him into the claws, though this could just be because the Giga was right there, and Thera's claws would just happen to be up. And also impressive for the Therizinosaurus, as it's able to stand up while this is happening. The whole weight of the Giga is slamming against the Therizinosaurus's claws, and it's able to hold itself up, which is impressive. Also, we see well, actually, I think that's relatively it for intelligence. I think Rexy has a little bit more experience because she's a little bit older. So I think what I'll do is intelligence equal experience goes to Rexy. Now, what else do I have? Weaponry, the two have pretty much equal weaponry, because they both are T-Rexes, so weaponry is equal. So overall, who do I think would win? Now, Big Edie is pretty equal to Rexy in a lot of things, but I definitely think her being younger and having that agility definitely would give her the edge. Plus, I did give her strength against Rexy, which is something I'm probably going to get hounded for. If somebody sees this video, it's going to be like, no, Big Edie would get destroyed by Rexy, but it's my opinion, so, it's just my personal opinion. Me personally, I think Big Edie would win. I think Big Edie would win 7 out of 10 times. The reason I think, because her speed and agility, and plus we do have to look at the fact that she's strong, equal or even stronger than Rexy, and plus we do see that Big Edie is able to make the Spinal bleed with one bite. And also with Spinal lost 4%, or not 4%, 1/4 of his health in one bite. Now, one bite from Big Edie is able to cause the Spinal extreme pain. And this is just something that interested me a lot when looking at these two. That at times it does seem like they're like over strength. Like at times, like when Rexy's fighting the Giga, it seems like she can't even really move the Giga an inch, but then suddenly she has the strength to easily throw the Giga. But if I'm going for like their best feats, definitely I think Rexy's best feat is probably either being able to ragdoll the Indominus, throwing, grabbing, and pushing the Giga into the Therizinosaurus' claws, or being able to hold a helicopter, even though she didn't hold it for too long, though, but she still was able to hold a helicopter, which is a pretty strong feat, definitely for her. But the ladder did break, probably because of Rexy's force biting into it, and because it's a helicopter and a T-Rex both pulling. I doubt the thin ladder would really hold for that long. So I think that my final tally would go. So I think bite force a tie. I think oh my god, strength Big Edie, speed and agility Big Edie, experience Rexy, intelligence is equal. What else? Weaponry is equal. That's pretty much it for this video. I do think that if Rexy was in her prime, she would win this. I think Rexy would win 8 out of 10 times, just because she's in her prime, she's stronger, she's more bulky, she's able to take more damage probably, but we haven't seen much of her. But look at how Rexy's able to endure. I just think that if Big Edie is able to push the Spinal over easily, Big Edie would definitely be able to do this to Rexy, and she'd probably be able to pick up Rexy and throw her around. And as we mentioned, Rexy is not as young as she used to be, and a lot of strong impacts to her head would definitely knock Rexy out. And this is something that doesn't really seem to phase Big Edie too much, as Pierce would hit her in the head multiple times. And another thing to mention is that one hit of Pierce's tail was able to knock over the Spinosaurus. And to mention, the Spinosaurus was on all fours at this moment. To mention, it's on all fours, and it was more stable. It's easier to knock down a dinosaur that's on 2 legs than to knock down a dinosaur that's on all fours, because all 4 of its limbs have more contact to the ground, making it harder to push over, because it's just more limbs keeping it up. But Big Edie, with only 2 legs on the ground, is able to soak in multiple attacks. So I think Rexy would lose. I do think this fight would definitely come out with Big Edie having multiple bites, but I just think Big Edie's too fast, too strong for the old Rexy. This is just my opinion, and well, I guess I'll see you guys later if I survive from the Rexy fanboys or girls, whoever it is. But I gotta go. See you guys later, and maybe subscribe. Also, I just wanted to say that probably next video might either be alternate version of Jurassic World Dominion, and how the final fight should have been, or how I would have done the T-Rex versus Spinosaurus rematch in Camp Season 5. If anyone does comment on this video, I want you to say which one you rather have, and I guess that's pretty much it. Big Edie won this battle against Rexy, though I do think This would have been, I wouldn't say it's been too close, but I do think Rexy will put up a good fight. But sadly, this would be it for Rexy if she went up against Big Edie, and neither one of them could fall back. If this was a battle to the death, Big Edie would come out on top. To me, hands down, Big Edie wins this battle. But that's just my opinion. And if anyone does comment, I want to hear you guys' opinion, what you think this battle would really be like. And should I do any other battles like Big Edie versus Buck or Little Edie versus the T Rex in Jurassic Park 3, whatever else, maybe find something else to do, who knows. Goodbye everyone and see you later.